In this video, I'll show you how to easily zero your red dot optic on your AR-15 or rifle. This concept and process is going to work for any of your other optics that you have, whether it's a pistol optic, holographic, or an LPVO. There's going to be some minor differences between the optics, whether it's the MOA or how you actually go about adjusting for zeroing. For example, the adjustments on this Aimpoint T2 are 0.5 inches at 100 yards. So every click I make, it's going to go 0.5 inches in that direction. Since my target is out at 50 yards, I'm going to divide that number by 2 since it is half the length, which would give me 0.25 inches per click. If you only have a length of 25 yards to zero, you would just take that 0.25 inches then, divide that by 2 again, which would get you 0.12 inches for every click of your adjustment. It'll tell you in the manual for every optic. This isn't the most ideal setup, but you have to work with what's available for you. The table and the bags are going to help stabilize my shooting platform so it takes out human input to the gun and human air so I can try to get the most accurate zero possible. This front bag is going to help stabilize the handguard, while the rear bag is going to help stabilize the stock, and the only movement that could then come from the gun is my shooting hand or trigger finger, which would put some input into the gun. If you don't have this set up, you can rest on a bench, go prone. You can use a book bag or whatever you might have to help stabilize the firearm. These 20-round PMags make it a lot easier because they sit up higher and don't interfere with the table or surface you have. You can also use 10-round mags. I want to loosen up my firing hand as much as possible so that I'm not pushing onto the gun. A good way to help of that is if you have the thumb on the right side, it can be a little bit easier to take precision and accurate shots. Laser rangefinders help save a lot of time and can be a little bit more accurate to measure distance. If you don't have one of these or don't want to spend the money, you can use a tape measure. This is how I did it before. I would suggest measuring it in some way to at least know what zero distance you have. I'm going to turn the brightness down on the optic as much as possible so that I can still see the red dot or the reticle. When you have this up higher, the red dot or reticle can bloom, so it takes up a little bit more of your target. With having the brightness down as much as possible to where I can still see it, it's going to make the reticle or red dot look smaller so you can be more precise and accurate and hopefully get a smaller grouping with your shots. The lowest I recommend is 3 rounds. I typically do 5 because it gives me more data if I were to push around to the left, right, or down, or just somewhere that's not consistent. You can even do 10 if you would like. I have my 5 rounds in. I'm gonna go ahead and rack it. I can put it on safety for the time being. To get the most accurate zero possible, you wanna try to be on the same level as your target, and I want to also be straight in line with my target, so I'm not shooting at an angle or at an angle up or down. My laser range find distance for 50 yards was from the front of the muzzle to the target itself. Because my red dot's a little bit higher than where I'm trying to shoot, I'm just going to adjust this back bag to get me level so that I don't have to put in anything to the gun. You can stabilize the gun like this, but since this front is already pretty stable, I'm going to try to hold the stock straight. I want to be pushed into the back of the gun so it's not moving a whole bunch between shots. Get a nice cheek weld and your shoulder pushed up against the buttstock. I'll then take it off safety, slowly press the trigger back, and if you want to try to be more accurate, you can take the shot while you're breathing out. Usually helps for a little bit more stability. Low and to the left, but the grouping is pretty small for the most part. From the center of my group to where I was aiming, I'm 1.5 inches off to the left, so that means I need to go 1.5 inches to the right. Then from the center of my grouping, I'm about 3 3/4 inches low, so I need to go 3 3/4 inches up. It says in the manual 0.5 inches for each adjustment at 100 yards. Since I'm at 50 yards, each adjustment is going to equal 0.25 inches or 1/4 inch per click. Counterclockwise on the windage, which is the one on the side of the optic, will move our point of impact to the right, and counterclockwise on our elevation, which is on the top of the optic, will move our point of impact up. Since I needed to go to the right 1.5 inches, that means I'm going to turn the windage dial counterclockwise 6 clicks. I'll go ahead and take this counterclockwise, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 15 clicks counterclockwise to move me up 3 3/4 inches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I'll go ahead and load 5 more rounds. We should be pretty close to zeroed with these adjustments. We'll check one more time. If we need to, we can do this a third time. Get the red dot centered in the glass. It's 2 shots. Felt like I pushed on that a bit. Wasn't patient enough at the wall of the trigger press. You just gotta take your time. You can breathe out when making the shot, makes it a little easier. For the most part, we're pretty on. I'm guessing I was pushing on some of these since these are dead center according to my adjustments. I'm gonna try bumping it up 2 clicks and we'll see how that looks. 2 clicks up is 2 clicks counterclockwise, which will give me 0.5 inch in difference. So I got 2 clicks there, gonna load up 5 more. If your eyesight's not the greatest, you can try using a magnifier to help. You just repeat the process until you're happy with the zero or the grouping you got. If you have a windy day, that can make it harder to get a good zero. 50 yards, not as much. But if you're doing a 100-yard zero or any shooting past that, wind really isn't the greatest for shooting in general. So that is something to take into account. Pretty good shots overall. These 2 were already there. So I had a few I pushed on, but the rest are pretty close. Overall, not a bad grouping. I could have taken my time on these a little bit more. I did rush this last grouping a little bit, but for the most part at 50 yards, that's pretty good. I could continue shooting and dialing it in to get a better, smaller grouping and a more refined zero, but overall, I'm pretty happy with that. And for 50 yards, that's not terrible. Now, obviously, you want your grouping as small as possible. It just depends how long you want to spend trying to get really dialed in, and some of these other factors can help with that. Zeroing and adjusting your magnifier, there's 2 ways of adjustment. Your diopter here, it will have like a +2, -2. Pretty much you're just going to want to look through your optic and you're going to adjust this at, let's say, the sky or an open plane of grass like I have here, and I'm going to adjust that left and right, plus or minus, until I get the most clear image possible for your eyes. If you wear prescription glasses, make sure to wear them or whatever you're going to be wearing when you're using this. To zero the magnifier itself, it's the same turning with windage and elevation, although all you're trying to do is center the dot in the magnifier. For this, it says clockwise is up. If the dot is high and to the left, you need to push it down and to the right. So you just adjust these until the dot is in the center of the magnifier. If you want to see more videos like this, please like, subscribe, and share to help support the channel, and thank you for watching.